Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Simone here. So today I'm going to be doing my February wrap up. I only read 5 books this month, so I thought on the end of this I would just very quickly talk about the books that I want to read in March. It's quite scary that we're already nearly March, like what is going on? Anyway, the first book that I read was Cheryl by Sean Smith. Now, if you've watched my channel before, you'll know how much I really like Cheryl Fernandez-Vicini. I think she's really inspirational. I think she's a really good singer, and I just really like her in general. Now, this book I was very disappointed by. I read Cheryl's autobiography last year and really liked it. Mainly because it was written from her perspective, I guess, and I just really enjoyed that side of things. This is an unauthorised biography, and I think I can tell why. This is very much not from Cheryl's perspective. It doesn't really talk about how she feels or how she kind of dealt with things. It's very much from the outside, like people that were with her at the time. Like, this book uses interviews that she's done, like public interviews, like in newspapers or magazines or just on telly, and uses information from that. Or he kind of, I feel like he's gone and interviewed every little person that in any way has been connected to her. Like, he interviewed one of the mums whose daughter went to dance class with her when they were like 2. And I'm kind of thinking to myself as I'm reading it, that was so long ago, it's almost not relevant anymore. Now, I know it's important to know where people come from, but there's knowing and there's kind of going into minute detail about it. I really just wasn't a fan of this book. I felt like this was very gossipy and I just wasn't into it. And this I gave a 2-star to. The next book that I read in February was actually a library book, so I don't have it with me at the minute. I'll put a picture up on the screen. It's a book called Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi. I really liked this book. It was not a book I would typically pick up myself, but I was in the library and I'd heard a lot of people talk about it on BookTube, and I was quite intrigued as to kind of what it was about. Under the Never Sky is about our main character Aria, who lives in the realms and has done for her whole life. Now, the realms is kind of an area where you can visit different worlds, and there's always different things open to you. Nobody gets sick, nobody gets ill, nobody experiences pain. There's none of that. However, if you try and go outside of the realms, you have what is known as the outsiders. Now, one day, due to circumstances that happen, Aria is cast out of the realms, and she meets an outsider named Perry, who she is initially scared of, but basically over time they both realise that they are both looking for someone. She's trying to find her mother and he is trying to find his nephew, and they then have to work together in order to work out what is going on and how they can get their family members back. It's a really heartbreaking but also heartwarming story in many different ways. I really liked this. It's quite a fantastical book, like I said, not one I would ordinarily have picked up, but I'm really glad that I did. I gave this book a 3-star. I did have a few issues with it, just because it's not my normal genre, so it's not something that I would typically pick up, but I actually did really enjoy it and I'm glad that I read it. Then in February I continued on with my reread of Harry Potter, and I read Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, which is the 6th book in the series. This one is actually my favourite, I think, of the whole series, maybe minus Deathly Hallows, I don't know. I'm going to have to reread it soon and then I will kind of make my mind up. But so far I'm pretty sure this is my favourite. It's got my favourite characters in it. The ending, again, if you've read it, you'll know why I cried a lot. I reread this and I still cry because it still gets me every time. But yeah, this one, amazing. Do I need to tell you that I gave this one a 5 stars? Then I read another library book, which was Grave Mercy by Robin Lefevers. This book was the first book in the His Fair Assassin series. Another book I would not normally have picked up, but happened to see it on a few people's channels and saw it in my library and thought I will pick it up and see what I think. This book is about a girl who is the daughter of Death, or Saint Mortain or Mortain, I'm not sure how you say it. And basically she is an assassin and she carries out his orders and kills people that he feels need to be killed, helps them along to death basically. And it's about her being ordered to kill the man that she's now fallen in love with, and it's very strange, very funny, very, like, I love how loyal the people in this are, obviously apart from the people that are traitors, but generally, like, the main characters are really loyal, and I love that. And I loved seeing how she kind of worked around the whole I need to kill this man but I love him. It kind of like a book version of Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I suppose. Yeah, so that was a really good book. I gave that one a 4-star. And the last book that I read in February was actually a short story, and it was by Edith Wharton, who wrote The House of Mirth, which I read last year, I believe, and really liked. This book was called Touchstone, and I wasn't a big fan. I gave this book a 2-star. It was okay. It just wasn't really for me, I think. This was basically a story about a guy who, when he was younger, he had a relationship of some kind with an author, and when she died he decided to publish all the letters that she'd ever sent him into a book. But he didn't tell his wife, and then one day it kind of is one of those things where he's like, do I tell my wife, do I not? And it's about how he comes to that decision. It's only about 120 pages, but I mean, I read it, I finished it in like a day, but it wasn't particularly gripping, so I don't know that I would recommend it. However, I would like to read more of her stuff and see whether I like any more of them. So, on to the books that I would like to read this month, or my March TBR. And the book I'm currently reading, Finding Audrey by Sophie Kinsella, which I believe is about a girl who has anxiety, and it's about her meeting a guy and kind of how she deals with meeting somebody she might grow to like, but with her anxiety I'm not entirely sure how it works. I don't really know much about it. I've literally not just put the bookmark in, I haven't actually started it. I'm excited though, because I love the Shopaholic series that Sophie Kinsella writes, so I'm excited to see whether or not that translates to her other books. So yeah, I will let you know in my next wrap up. Then I have Private Sydney by James Patterson and Catherine Fox. Now, if you follow my blog, which I will leave linked below, you'll know that I love the Private series. But I've read all of the books in this series so far, and I think there's been like 10 before this one. This is the next one, and I'm just interested to carry on with the series. Generally, the series is about the private investigation firm that essentially deals with things that the police either don't want to, or that people don't trust the police to do, I don't know. But basically, this is like a thriller book that I really enjoy, so yeah, I'm a big fan of James Patterson in general. I then have a book by Jodi Picoult, who was the author of My Sister's Keeper, and also a book I read recently called House Rules, and this one is called Mercy, and it's about, I believe this has got something to do with euthanasia, and whether or not it should be legal or illegal. Jodi Picoult tends to write books about kind of big moral dilemmas, I guess, like in one of the books I've read, she wrote about an autistic child who was accused of murder, and you know, she writes about organ donation and all that sort of thing, so I feel like this is probably going to be one of those ones. I'm quite interested to read this because I do really like her writing, and I'm interested to see whether I like it or not. I then have the first of 2 books by Tess Gerritsen that I want to read this month. This one is Never Say Die, and this is about a woman named Willie Jane Maitland, who is tracking down her father's last moves because his plane went down in Southeast Asia in the jungle, and it's about her tracking where he went and being chased by kind of mercenaries, I guess, and yeah, this should be interesting because I like her as well. The other Tess Gerritsen book that I want to read this month is the first in the Rizzolian Isles series, which most of you might have seen on TV if you haven't read the books of. But the first one is called The Surgeon, and it's about Jane Rizzoli, who is a homicide detective, and Maura Isles, who is the forensic pathologist who investigate crime, and they investigate the crime of a killer who has been killing women in ways that they would need to know surgical skills, basically. It's interesting because Tess Gerritsen actually used to be a surgeon, I believe, or she has a lot of extensive medical knowledge, so this is really kind of true to life, I guess. I don't really know exactly how true to life because I'm not medically trained myself, but there's a lot of kind of good things in here, so I'm interested to read this. I think I've read this before, but a long time ago, so I really want to read this and then I can continue on with the series. And then lastly, I want to read another book in the Harry Potter series. Now you might be saying, well, you read the Half-Blood Prince this month, so you need to read Deathly Hallows next month. Well, no, I didn't read them in order. Well, I did read them in order, I just missed one out because I don't know why I missed this out, but I need to read Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire because for some reason I didn't read it. I didn't deliberately read them in order, to be honest. I was kind of just reading whichever one I happened to pick up next. But yeah, this is the one I've missed out, so I want to go back and read this one. This is also a good one. I feel like I've read the first chapter in this about 400 times, so I don't, like, it annoys me when I read it now because I'm like, I've read this so many times, but then I get into the rest of it and realise how much I miss it, so I'm excited to read this and I really want to get to this month. So that is my February wrap up and my March TBR. I hope that you really liked this video. Let me know in the comments below what books you read this month and what you're planning to read in March, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Bye guys!